Who should run daily stand-up meetings? Engineering manager, product owner, project manager? Like, how do you run these meetings and actually make them more effective? Well, I'm going to give you my 2 cents today, and as a startup founder, kind of have a biased opinion. To survive and thrive, you must adopt a product-driven mindset. Oh, daily stand-up meetings. Some people love them, some people hate them. I love them, and I'm going to tell you why today they're so important and how you should think about managing them. Because if you don't like daily status meetings, it might be because you're managing them the wrong way or you have the wrong person managing these meetings. First and foremost, daily status meetings are not for status. They're not for status reports. Like, yeah, you could clearly use different tools for that. You could just use Slack and people could just post in there, this is what I did today, I updated my Jira ticket number, right? Like, okay. But as a manager, I want to dig deeper, right? And my key recommendation is I really recommend having an engineering manager manage these meetings. And we're going to go through a few different reasons of why I think that is the case and some other alternatives throughout this talk today, okay? So as an engineering manager, I like running these meetings because I really want to drive collaboration. I want to know what you worked on yesterday, what you need help with. I want to hear and see the body language in your tone and feel like, are you feeling confident about what you're doing? Does it seem like you need help? Are you being kind of, protective of your work and you don't feel very confident? You're blaming other people. You need help. Like, I want to go through all those things and sense those so I know where my team is at and if my team needs help. Do they need help? Are they confused? Are there blockers? And if I'm on that call, I can recognize that very quickly. I can potentially know to step in, ask questions, dig deeper, eliminate that blocker immediately, right? And that's the part of the value of having an engineering manager who is really guiding the conversation. We ultimately just want to know, is everybody making progress, right? And the best way to do that is through this kind of collaboration. It's also important when somebody's finishing their work, you're able to identify like, well, what is the next steps of this work? Knowing, okay, somebody else needs to know, it needs to go to QA, it needs to go to production, like all this kind of stuff. And if you're in the middle of the work, it makes it a lot easier to ensure everybody's thinking about all of those things and not just, focusing on their part of the puzzle and not the whole thing that needs to be done. The key is being able to understand the team dynamics and be able to identify those sort of coachable moments. You're like, okay, we're having issues in the team. I need to immediately step in and maybe during the call, figure out what we need to do, or after the call, have a one-on-one with somebody else and figure out how they need help, okay? I really think it helps a lot with accountability, rapid decision-making, keeping people on schedule, identifying the bottlenecks, all that kind of stuff. Now, let's contrast this for a minute with a product owner or a project manager who ran these same meetings, not an engineering manager. So usually a project management person that's more focused on that is really more focused on timeline. They don't understand the technical part of it. They don't want to sit there and listen to a bunch of technical conversations that they don't really understand. If it seems like somebody is struggling and there's a blocker, like they may not really understand the magnitude of it. Like they don't understand it the same way that an engineering manager who's running the team would understand it, okay? And a lot of project managers want to quickly just get through the meeting, get everybody's status update, and just go on about their day. And you don't have that time for that sort of team collaboration, product knowledge, and other things that may need to be had. They won't want to have those technical conversations, which are very valuable, like on the fly, like figuring, okay, performance of this thing, how can we scale this thing? Let's talk through it. Like all those kind of conversations you could have, they're not really going to be interested in. They just want to hear ticket number R2D2, what's the status, right? And they just want to go through that. The other thing is a product owner or project manager isn't really going to understand risk the same way an engineering manager does. So they might understand risk of the timeline, but as an engineering manager, we also understand the risk of like, okay, this developer says this is done, but we know there's a lot of other things to do, or we know this is really complicated, or we know that this particular work item, if it's not done the right way, could like cause all sorts of issues in production. So because I'm listening in, I can see those risks that a project manager wouldn't necessarily understand, okay? When a project manager runs these kind of meetings, I feel like they're mostly just status meetings. And more likely, you could have just posted the status updates on Slack or updated the status of your Jira tickets, okay? That's why I feel like these meetings are so much more about collaboration. Now, can you run these teams without an engineering manager? Could you just have 2 or 3 great senior developers working together and doing this? Absolutely, you can. But they've got to be really good senior managers or senior developers that take a lot of ownership in their work, and with their team members, they have a great working relationship. There's sort of psychological safety there where they can show up to the meeting and be like, I need help. I'm willing to ask the questions. I'm willing to put myself out there and say, I need help, or I have this problem, without having a manager that kind of is drilling in and trying to pull that out of them. If you've got 2 or 3 peers that are showing up to the meeting, they've got to be very proactive and show ownership and working together. And if you have the right team, you can absolutely do that. I still think these meetings are important for collaboration, for them to stop what they're doing for a minute and step back and say, okay, what are we working on? Why are we working on this? What does everybody need to know? How can we help each other? Instead of just being heads down, right? A few minutes for that collaboration can be helpful. Now, here's the trick. If you've just got a bunch of junior developers, this is not going to work, probably. Not going to work at all. And here's why. Junior developers are much less likely to come out and say, I need help, I have problems with this, because they have a lot more fear of embarrassment. They're more likely to say, I'm still working on it, I need some more time. They're less likely to be as forthcoming about the problems. And that's where an engineering manager can use their senses and be like, okay, I understand he's kind of stuck and he needs help. And I'm going to drill in and I'm going to pull and see how I can help him. And I'm going to ask so-and-so to help him. I can see those moments and know how to push the team or pull the team as needed, where junior developers are less likely to do that. So if you just get a bunch of junior developers together and tell them go figure it out, they're less likely to be critical of each other and as helpful to each other and be as honest about the status, I feel like. And therefore, you're going to miss opportunities for collaboration. And of course, this varies a lot by culture, too. If you have employees from different places around the world, some are more and less likely to be very direct and very forthcoming, and some of them are going to be much more shy about the fact that they need help, okay? So ultimately, the best manager and leader of a startup, in my opinion, is the startup technical founder of a small team. And the reason why is they are not only the lead developer engineering manager, but they're also the product manager. If you're the founder of a startup, you are naturally one of the product managers. So you can run these teams so fast and so efficiently because you understand everything there is about the product. Any single blocker in conversation that could come up during the meeting, you better know the answer to. And that is why I feel like when I have always run these meetings, they have always helped the team be so much more productive, because not only can I help with the technical blockers, I'm good at identifying when the team is kind of off track or needs help and guiding them in those moments, but I understand the product better than anyone in the company. And so if anybody has any question about why are we doing whatever it is we're doing, I can immediately jump in and give them the information they need and help them keep going the right way. And that is one of the reasons that startups move so fast, is you've got these startup founders that are in these teams that move quickly, versus in a bigger company, you've got multiple different people. You potentially have like a project manager that's running the team, and things just don't move quite as quickly. And I will say, in one of my last startups, I hired a product owner who is absolutely amazing. CJ, if you watch this, love you. But when I had him run the team, I felt so much more passive. I wasn't running the meetings. I would show up to the meetings, and I'll admit it's my fault. I'm not paying as much attention. I'm sort of just in the background. My head is thinking about something else. I just become passive. And that sort of, I'll call it superpower of being the startup founder in the meeting, was kind of negated because I turned over to him running the meeting. Not that he did a bad job, but I just wasn't as involved. I wasn't listening as closely. I wasn't as tuned in. And I'm telling you, in an early stage startup that's trying to move fast, it's a superpower. So that's my feedback for you. I highly recommend, I prefer really good team leads, really good engineering managers that are really active in these meetings and really using them for collaboration, not using them for just status meetings that are a waste of time. And the more likely that happens, you have a project manager or a product owner that is just kind of running the status of it. Use these meetings for collaboration, and they're super, super powerful for moving quickly, trying to drive urgency, figuring out what do we got to do, who needs help, how do I help them, based on the tone of the conversation, the flow of the conversation, keep things moving. And a really good engineering manager can do that. That said, I think there's a lot of ways these meetings can be had. I asked LinkedIn and I got lots of answers, and I agree. Really good senior developers can do this on their own. In one of my previous companies, I had a really great senior developer that was basically the team lead. And he did a really good job of running these meetings. He wasn't technically an engineering manager, but he was the team lead. He was awesome. He could do all the same things that I could do because he understood the product extremely well, and he was really good at running the team and understanding everybody's kind of sentiment and where they were and where they needed help. And that's my message today. I'm a big fan of engineering managers running a team, but there's more than one way to do it. See you on the next episode of Product Driven. Thanks for tuning into Product Driven today. If you're passionate about building user-centric tech products, join over 30,000 tech leaders who receive the Product Driven newsletter directly in their inbox every week. Visit fullscaleteam.com/newsletter to sign up today for our newsletter. You can also view all of our episodes on YouTube and join over 50,000 others. And please follow me, Matt Watson, on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.